my beautiful family and friends, my reflections. How are we? Doing good. I'm Shanelle. I'm a creative oracle and spiritual artist, helping people through healing and expression. Happy New Year. I hope that is so far so good. For me, I was down with the flu during the countdown. I was in bed with a terrible hacking cough that would not go away for like maybe close to 2 weeks. And I'm back feeling 100% again. I hope that you've been able to keep your resolutions going and, really start out this year with a bang. But if not, hey, don't be hard on yourself. I had to give myself that same kind of pep talk and remind myself that the New Year's Eve ritual is fake. It's just a ritual that is a way to synchronize everyone on the same timing and on the same clock. But when it comes to New Year's, there's the Gregorian calendar, linear time, New Year, and then there's one that's more cosmically aligned that has to do with a multidimensional way of living time through cosmic thresholds. And this one, you're going to want to hear me break it down. So let's get into it. All right, so first I got to break down Janus and the false gate of the new year. The word January comes from Janus. It is the Roman god of beginnings and endings and doorways and transitions too. And Janus has two faces, one looking backwards and one looking forward. The Gregorian calendar installs him as the gatekeeper of the new year, but that's wrong. It's a ritual of control, and I'll break that down a little bit more because it creates a mass synchronization moment where the collective all agrees to start over on cue by the clock. But what I realize is that the real New Year's gate doesn't open on January 1st. It opens actually every time the soul steps across a threshold of transformation. Now, nature tells us when it's the true new year, and that's when it's the spring equinox or the vernal equinox. And in many ancient traditions, including Kemet, which is ancient Egypt, and even Persian and some esoteric Christian mysticism, those beginnings of New Year always started in the spring when life returns, when light takes over darkness. The total number of daylight hours starts to outweigh the total number of nighttime hours in the spring. And so because the light overtakes the darkness, that is the true new year. And in that way, the new year is aligned with the rhythms of the earth and the cosmos. Now, what if I told you that a year is really a change of mind? And this is one of the core time truths of the higher realms. A year is not 365 days, okay? A year is a turning of the soul. In the spiritual realm, time is non-linear. There are no years, only initiations, upgrades, and timelines. And every true shift in identity marks the beginning of a new year for you, even if no one else is counting. So yes, we've been celebrating multiple New Years throughout the Gregorian year. It happened when we dropped an old identity, when a new timeline opened up because we shed a fear or embodied a higher frequency. I know that personally, I took on many different identities during 2025. I would say I had half a dozen New Years during that year. It's all about the personal transformations that we go through. So if everyone personally has a lot of different New Years that they're experiencing, you can imagine why the powers that think they be want to synchronize everyone to the same clock. They simplify time and create the illusion that it is linear when really time is evolving in different ways for each person, and it's just impossible to keep track of. Even I lost track of how many times my identity shifted, or I started something new because of a lesson that I learned, or just completing a cycle in my life. How everyone is experiencing time, though, is so vastly different and so hard to keep track of that truly time would look more like this, like a galaxy all moving around in a spiral instead of in one straight line. So time in the Matrix is all about these synthetic time loops, these outer markers that most people live by. Birthdays, tax years, anniversaries, deadlines, you know what I mean, New Year's. So that is different from the soul clock, right? It moves by a different mechanism, which is based on consciousness milestones. All right, so that's what I've been pioneering, basically saying that you can live by flow life, not clocks, and age by becoming more of your soul, not by passing through months. Okay, so let's recap what I broke down so far before I go on. First, I talked about how Janus, that whole ritual on New Year's Eve, is a decoy. Then I talked about how the spring equinox is more soul aligned if you need a reset. And every moment of awareness can be your new year. And you are allowed to outgrow calendars. If you're exiting the matrix, you've outgrown that way of time. And when you're outside of the matrix, it's your transmissions that create time. You don't follow time. It's that other way around. As you learn new lessons, as you download more information, as you collect more data through experience in your life, you are creating more time to gather in more information, to experience more things, to add to what it is that you're building on in your consciousness. So you are not following time, you're creating it through all of your transmissions. Okay, now I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about Chronos. He is the decoy time grid that everyone is following. And there's Chronos with a K and there's Chronos with a C. And it is a distinction here. They often get confused as the same God. Chronos is the personification of linear, measurable time. From minutes, hours, years, it's the whole ticking clock archetype. He's the planner, he's the pressure, all right? He's the one with the K. The one with the C is the one in Greek mythology who ate his children. It's ironic that they get confused with one another because time eats your presence, just like Chronos eats the kids. And they're really quite similar in that way. Because Chronos demands productivity. It holds power over the mind by saying, you're late, you're running out of time, you're behind. Heard that before in your mind? That is Chronos. And it's how we humans respond to calendar time or deadline time. It's the kind that leaves people anxious and disconnected and ashamed if they're not on schedule, right? Which is similar to how I was feeling at the start of the year. And I'm like, oh Lord, what kind of year is this about to be? You know, it just really can take over your thoughts and create all kinds of doom and just fear and doubt. And so Janus and Chronos goes together when we're talking about the whole New Year's Eve ritual that we all just went through. And we thought that, you know, hey, it's time for new beginnings, right? A lot of us do feel that way, that on New Year's Eve, it is your one shot to start over on January 1st. It keeps people performing change, but not actually embodying it. And this is the trap. You wait for the right time for New Year's to start something when you can start something at any time, any point in your life. And you create these fake milestones and you scroll endlessly for ideas of new things that, you know, you want to make your goals, and you feel guilt when you can't uphold those resolutions. It's impossible to keep up. And I'm sure you've already learned this from year after year, falling off, right? Falling off and can't keep up with your new year or with time, and you just eventually give up. So I just want to summarize once again about New Year's Eve being ritualized surveillance, pretty much, because they want to make everyone follow the same time, participating in a ritual to Janus and Kronos when it is the New Year's Eve countdown party, the ball dropping in Times Square, the clock setting, resetting. That whole thing is nothing more than a pagan ritual. And it's a ritual that leaves you feeling pretty miserable before long, as Kronos starts to devour your life through stress and delay. And then what Janus promises is really false starts that keeps you hoping in the wrong direction, because you don't actually change, right? You just perform this change for a little while until, the jig is up and you can't keep up with the fake act, right? And so you don't actually embody the change. Okay, so now I want to dive deeper into why we are even participating in pagan rituals to begin with. Most holidays in America sit on older seasonal rituals that existed long before Christianity. These rituals were tied to agriculture and astronomy and even human psychology. So when we talk about solstices, equinoxes, harvests, fertility cycles, death and rebirth, those rhythms were never abstract beliefs. That was the truth of nature and life and survival knowledge. And so when Christianity spread throughout Europe, it faced a problem. People would not abandon their seasonal rituals. And those rituals were embodied in daily life and in land and in memory. So instead of erasing them, the church absorbed them and renamed them and rebranded them. And this served three different purposes. It reduced rebellion, it centralized spiritual authority, and it reframed nature-based practices as acceptable only under Christian symbolism. So, pagan rituals and festivals were not eliminated. They were rebranded, like I said before. And so examples would be winter solstice celebrations became Christmas. Spring fertility and rebirth festivals became Easter. Harvest festivals became Thanksgiving. And honoring the dead became All Saints and later Halloween. The gods didn't disappear. Their functions were reassigned. Fertility, light, protection, death, rebirth. These roles were absorbed into saints, angels, singular, holy narratives. Maybe you're asking, why not be open about it? Well, because Christianity is built on exclusive authority, right? It teaches that spiritual power comes from one source and one correct framework, right? So to openly acknowledge pagan roots, that would undermine the whole authority that they've set up, right? They would have to admit that spiritual time is cyclical, not linear, like they've taught us all. They'd have to admit that nature is sacred, and they would have to admit that humans can access meaning without intermediaries. Paganism isn't condemned because it's evil. It's condemned because it's decentralized. Anyone can observe the sky, the seasons, the body, and draw meaning. That threatens institutions built on hierarchy and control, you see. So people aren't consciously worshiping different gods. They're participating in archetypal functions that never went away. I just wanted to share this insight and really break it down because this year is going to be happening really fast in the calendar sense. But if you feel like you're behind or you need to catch up or you're not doing life right, just relax a little bit and pay more attention to the cycles and be more aware of your own personal transformations and transitions in life, where you get initiated, you get upgraded to a new timeline, which is a new identity. I can remember in the last year or two, first I was a complete pothead. I had to go through a new transformation, a new identity as a sober Shanelle and figure out what that meant for me. And that quickly led to me wanting to change my identity and transform into a more disciplined person. And that led to me creating the tools for the self-awareness packet and the 23-day planner challenge, right? So it was a level up challenge. That identity quickly became, okay, well, I have leveled up. I want to teach others how to level up or help guide them through it, right? And share the tools. Then the new identity became, well, Shanelle is a spiritual guide now. And that alone, I think I just described 4 New Years that happened. And, all of those identities were able to teach me different lessons. And there was always some sort of initiation that led to the upgrade, that led to me basically walking that path, walking and experiencing that timeline. And so that is what I wanted to break down so that you can start to evolve as a soul who's having a human experience. All right, so that is my good word for today, the first one of January and of 2026. Hopefully you found the information useful and can apply it to your life in some way, shape, or form. And if you want to check out more of my videos, make sure that you subscribe and like and comment on this video because it helps my channel grow. And yeah, that's one of my New Year's resolutions, to really see my channel grow and thrive and be somewhat of a guiding force for those who resonate with me. All right, so until next time, peace. Love you guys.